It's Paul Marsh, and I am backstage at Fareham Live to talk all about the Fareham Panto this year for Beauty and the Beast, and I am delighted to say that I have been joined by, of course, the wonderful, wonderful Sue Holderness. Sue, how are you?
Well, I'm very happy with wonderful, wonderful. I'm good, thanks.
If I could put more wonderfuls in there, I would have done.
Well, no, I'm very happy with just two wonderfuls, and so far we're having a wonderful time.
And that's the main thing, because that's exactly what Panto is all about. I love this. You, this year, are playing Marlene the Maleficent.
Marlene the Malevolent, I think I am, but I'm not sure. I'm Marlene the something, and I'm certainly very, very scary and bad. I am the Wicked Witch, and I'm there to bring evil to the stage, to try and counteract the good of the very boring fairy.
Do you like playing the baddie? Because I would guess it's probably not something you do very often.
I do it every Christmas. I was good once. I did play the good fairy in Richmond a long time ago, and I found it a bit dull. No, the devil has the best tunes, you know. No, I find that I'm much nicer to my family when I'm playing Wicked Witches, because I get all the aggression out on the stage, and I'm perfectly sweet when I get home.
Before we talk about Panto, because I do want to talk about the Panto, I have to ask you about Marlene, because you have played so many characters and so many different TV shows. I mean, I've got a very quick list here. So we've got Bless This House, The New Avengers, Canned Laughters, The Sandbaggers, The Cleopatras, It Takes a Worried Man, The Brief Minder, Doctors, Still Open All Hours, EastEnders, and most recently, The Madame Blanc Mysteries. So you have an unbelievable biography of TV shows and things you've been in. But still, Marlene is the one that everybody knows and loves.
The funny thing is that when you speak to almost anybody who's been in Only Fools, however illustrious their careers, people always say, but I will be remembered for that moment in Only Fools and Horses. No, it was the luckiest break of my life, wasn't it, in 1984, when I was actually 3 months pregnant with my first child, and I got this call saying, would I be interested in doing just one episode of Only Fools? And I had seen some of the shows, 3 series had gone out. I knew that people used to, every now and then somebody would say, oh, do you remember Marlene? And the reply was always, all the boys remember Marlene. So I thought, this is wonderful. I've got this glorious little Cockney slapper that was very far from anything I was being offered then. But it was literally just a morning's work. And it was a fabulous morning. It was a very nice little scene. And at the end I thought, well, what a wonderful day. Pity that's it. Because I knew that John Sullivan had meant her to be an indoors character.
Okay.
You know, I don't know if people remember Minder with George Cole, but George Cole had a wife who nobody ever saw. She just was this sort of monster indoors. But then, because he suddenly had this idea that Del and Rodney would look after a dog, couldn't think where the dog would come from. He thought, oh, I know, Boise could give Marlene a dog, and then we'll get rid of them quickly, send them off on holiday. So we'll see her just for a moment. Well, he wrote such a lovely scene that a couple of weeks after I'd done it, he rang and said, we weren't going to see Marlene, but we love her, she's coming back.
Oh, that's absolutely... And do you know what the funny thing is? So when I interview bands, I always say, be careful when you go into the recording studio and what you record. If you do a song that you don't really want to do, but management wants you to do it, because you never know what thing you're going to be known for the rest of your life, and a catchphrase that you might have to say for the rest of your life. And at the time, you had no idea that Marlene would just follow you around for years and years and years.
And I was lucky, really, wasn't I? Because Boise, as soon as I met John, we got on very well. John Challis played Boise.
Yes.
And as the years went by, we toured in the theatre together many times. Of course, we got the spin-off series, The Green, Green Grass. But John Challis's wife and my husband, Mark, we all 4 of us got on very well. Oh. We got on holidays together. No, I miss him terribly. But it's luck, that, because, you know, often you hear of double acts who really don't like each other at all.
Yeah.
And we really did love each other very much. And I think that the relationship between Boise and Marlene was fun. It was a fun one, wasn't it?
I think of Only Fools as obviously a later generation. It's Friends, and again, you're right with the Friends characters. Doesn't matter what else they go on to do with the rest of their careers, they will always be known for Friends. Yes. And I think Only Fools and Horses was that generation's TV show.
Well, 26 million people were watching it, and the lovely thing for me is that I get recognised a lot by younger people, you know, 7, 8, 9-year-olds, because the poor devils have been stuck in front of the telly because their parents or grandparents are obsessed, and it still works, you know. Although some of those old episodes, you've got phones the size of bricks. You'd think that maybe people would think it's outdated, but the stories don't date, really.
Oh, it's so funny. Well,
The jokes go on being funny, don't they?
I'm sure if we get time, we'll jump back into that world. But let's talk Panto. Let's get back to Beauty and the Beast. We've described it briefly, but tell us a little bit about your character.
Well, my character, Marlene, is very determined that she's going to upset everybody. And she does start doing that almost from the very start. And, you know, I've met actresses who've played wicked and don't like being booed and don't like being hated by the audience. I love being booed. I love the boos. The louder the boos, the better. No, I find it very thrilling to make people very cross, very scared. And I hope that, although I'm going to be scary, that I might actually get the odd titter too. I hope.
How much play do you get in? Obviously, there is a script. How much play do you get? Do you get to improvise every now and again?
Well, I think people don't realise about pantomime that we meet on December the 1st and 5 days later we do a run for the producer. So it's terribly quick. So actually you don't really muck about too much.
Right.
Everybody tries quite hard to stick to the script. Once the show is up and running, then if things go wrong, it is quite a nice loose sort of setup so that you can play off each other and have the odd joke, and if things happen in the audience, you can muck about with that. But basically, I'm quite a stickler. I like people to stick to the script, because if what you're doing when you improvise is funnier than what was in the script, then you should keep it. But if it's not funnier, don't do it. So there is, if you suddenly forget the lines, you can have a lot of fun with that, and everybody can take the mick out of you. But basically, it's quite a strict format, pantomime, and not everybody can do it. You know, there's a lot of actors who are, classical actors who are slightly scathing about pantomime, but could they do it? You've got to be able to sing, dance, have comedy. You quite want to be able to get lumps in throats and have people care about the leading characters. You don't want Belle to be in trouble in the dark forest. So it's got everything, pantomime. And I do think that we've got gathered together in our cast people who can do it.
What is your favourite thing about Panto? What's the thing that brings you back to Panto every year, other than the money, of course?
Well, funnily enough, and not everybody agrees with me about this, but I love the kids' shows.
Yeah.
I love it when the teeny weenies come in at 10 o'clock in the morning and you hear hysterical laughter, children who are really helpless with laughter. It's the most joyful sound. So I think it's the children's shows that, well, the whole thing brings me back every time. I love getting into the festive spirit. And when my children were growing up, I tended not to do pantomime for about 5 years because I love Christmas. But my son and his children and my daughter, well, they'll all come to the pantomime and we'll have Christmas Day together. It's a family glorious thing that everybody should do every year. We all look forward to it, and it gets you into the proper festive spirit. And I'm a great believer in, if you don't do it before Christmas, coming afterwards, because sometimes for kids, as soon as Santa's been and it's Boxing Day and the parents are all a bit hungover on Boxing Day and they've played with all their presents, then's the time to come to the pantomime.
Oh, wonderful.
Because there's still all that joy, and there's the song singing and the dancing and a wonderful story. Keep the whole Christmas thing going till January, till they go back to school.
So obviously you are going to be down here in Fareham for around about 5 or 6 weeks. What is it that you love to do that we can continue to help you with and continue to help you do whilst you are down here in Fareham?
I'd like to know where I can get a good microwave meal.
Okay.
Because I've got a microwave in my dressing room, so if anybody can recommend a good microwave meal place near here. I think that the honest truth is you don't do a lot else when you're doing pantomime. It's 2 shows a day. I'm lucky, and I live in Windsor, and so I can get home for a couple. If I've got 2 days off, I'll nip home. But basically, when you're here, what you're doing is the pantomime, and not really much else.
Let's get serious for just a moment. I want you to think about your life, and I want to ask you from your own life, in what moment were you a beauty and in what moment were you a beast?
I can honestly say I've never been a beauty, and I've often been a beast. No, and I think it's good, actually, because if you really have been a beauty, then when that all goes. You can just see the beauty dribbling away as you get older. It must be terribly depressing. If you've always been what they call attractive or interesting, which I think quite often people have been kind enough to say that, then it sort of doesn't matter getting older. You just go on being, you hope, interesting. And to get to 76 is quite an achievement, and still to be healthy. I'm terribly grateful for that, and I just try not to look in the mirror too much.
Can I give you a moment where I think you are a beauty?
Tell me.
Recently, I saw on one of your social medias that it was your daughter's 40th birthday, I want to say.
It was.
And I think your love for your children, if nothing else, is your beauty.
I do. I so love, I'm so lucky that both my children I still have a very good relationship with, and my daughter and I are very good friends. She has decided at the age of 40, and I think a lot of her friends have, that the world is such a frightening place, they probably are not going to have children. And I think my anxiety is that she will miss having the relationship that I have with her. But of course she leads a very full life and has much to do with children. And it's surprising how many kids, well, they're not kids, are they, anymore at 40? How many girls have decided that it's not a nice world to bring people into. Let's not dwell on that, because the thing that pantomime does is it lets you forget all about that.
It 100% does. You talk about some of the amazing things that you have done in life. I know recently you were awarded the Variety Children's Charity Legend of the Industry Award.
You see, I always laugh when people call me a legend. Well, I think it's just because I've managed to battle on for 55 years and still work. And I'm very, very grateful that I still work. It's a very, very frightening business, this. And I've been incredibly lucky. I've never had more than 3 months without knowing what the next job is going to be, which is lucky, because I'm not very nice when I'm out of work. So I have been blessed, and of course the greatest luck came when John Sullivan gave me Marlene, because the reason I'm here on the poster is because of Marlene.
Well, turning up to work every day with this fantastic cast here at Fareham Live will be amazing. Was it exactly the same turning up for work every day with Only Fools, you know, the great characters like John and Sir David and people like that?
I think the most exciting thing with Only Fools was the day the script arrived. And I'd have a little routine. I'd wait until the script arrived, and then I'd go up to my bedroom, get back into bed with a cup of coffee and the script, and just roar with laughter. And and then, of course, when you get into the rehearsal room and everybody brings those wonderful words to life, John Sullivan was a genius. He was the most brilliant writer of comedy, but he not only made you laugh, he could make you cry. And I just feel I'm so sad he died so young, because he would have gone on entertaining us for many decades.
Well, Sue, thank you so much for talking to me. I really do appreciate it. Beauty and the Beast is coming to Fareham Live, Panto all December and into early January as well. Grab your tickets now before they sell out, and they will, I promise you.
They will. We go on till January the 4th. Don't miss it.